For me, I think that was much easier to speak about. Is people get demoted all the time. Like you get demoted, fired, and in my head, that is you're being benched because typically it doesn't happen as fast.
Yeah.
Well, let me parallel it this way. Jalen had his opportunity. I'm sure that he, the QB coach, Saban, and whoever else is involved said, hey, we need to make these adjustments right here. Hey, look at the defense from this perspective. Check this coverage. Read it this way. And as a collective, they tried to make some real-time adjustments. Now, granted, they have a 2-hour, less than 2-hour time frame to do this within. When you think about the duration of a football game, and really for Jalen was much less because he only played a half. He had an hour to figure all this out and make it happen in real time. Where as in work, it's a little different because you probably have a development plan that's going to be over a couple weeks or even over a couple months. So if that's the case, the parallel there is, all right, you have your development plan at work. How are you going to fix these things? If you don't fix these things, like these are the consequences of your actions. I don't know if Jalen necessarily had that talk. Like, hey, Jalen, if you don't get it together, man, we benching you. No, you go in at halftime because you go in at halftime. If you are to tell somebody that in the middle of a game, he probably pull himself out the game mentally before they even get to halftime. But in the workforce, I think it's super easy to say that benching happens when you get demoted. Somebody else takes on the role or responsibilities that you have, whether they cut your team in half. If you're a manager of the team, they take some people from you, some team members from you, assign them to somebody else. They reduce your role. If you're an hourly person, they reduce your hours. And there are so many ways to take a look at that. But yeah, getting benched in the workplace is tough. I've seen it happen. I can't say I personally experienced it. But man, like getting benched in the workplace, I could imagine how that then affects the family life that we kind of talked about. And now you start looking at the dynamic change inside of there. And now you look at, like you said, Nick, are my responsibilities shifting? Am I spending more time, dedicating more time to figuring out this work piece, letting my relationships slip with my spouse, significant other, whoever it may be, not paying attention to my family, my kids? Like, how does that affect kind of your game? That is your game. As much as people say like, the workforce, this is what you have to do, this is where your time is committed to. When you, in my opinion, when you really break it down and really take a look at it, your family, your chosen and your family that you've built, that is your game. That is your responsibility. That's what you have to take care of. And everything outside of that, work, personal, whatever it is, those factors affect what's happening inside of your game, and vice versa for some. But that benching at work, that's tough. That's real tough.